Good evening. My name is Phil Easter, historian and writer from Baltimore, Maryland, also known as the Amazing Memory Man. Recording tonight on Tuesday, May 19th, 2026. This is story number 92 on my YouTube channel, which is Phil Easter, the Amazing Memory Man. Sharing stories on many subjects since December of 2021. Tonight we honor and remember the great movie star Marilyn Monroe. She was born June 1st, 1926 in Los Angeles, California. So just in a few days, on June 1st this year, 2026, it'll be exactly 100 years since her birth. She made about 29 feature films from the 1940s up until 1961. Two of her most famous movies came out in consecutive years of 1953 and 1954. In 53, along with her co-star Jane Russell, a beautiful dark-haired lady, they made the movie Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, a very entertaining comedy drama where part of the story, they're on a ship going to Europe, from the United States to Europe, and they meet many different men of different ages on the ship, some older men who are very wealthy, and some young men who are on the U.S. Olympic team, supposedly at that time, and all sorts of amusing things happened on that voyage. A very entertaining film, Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. And the next year, 1954, the movie called There's No Business Like Show Business. Very popular movie. Some of her co-stars were Ethel Merman and O'Connor. And a very great movie and entertainment. And there's one scene in particular, there's a dance scene, a very exciting dance scene that Marilyn does, singing and dancing, called Tropical Heat Wave. It's really something to see. If you've never seen that movie, I'm sure you'll enjoy that scene especially. In the later 1950s, she also made a movie with Robert Mitchum, River of No Return. In 1957, she co-starred with the great English actor, Sir Laurence Olivier, in an entertaining movie, The Prince and the Showgirl was that movie. And then also, my personal favorite of all of Marilyn's movies was in 1959, the hilarious comedy, Some Like It Hot. And that was filmed, I think it was filmed in San Diego, California. And I was in San Diego many years ago on a trip, and there's a beautiful hotel called the Del Coronado, and they said that that's where at least part of that movie was filmed. She co-starred with Jack Lemmon and Tony Curtis, a very funny movie, even though it was supposed to be in Florida, the story like Al Capone and his men during the 1920s, Prohibition era, and they were trying to find these people who they thought they ripped them off, and Marilyn Monroe and Jack Lemmon and Tony Curtis are just hilarious. In fact, some film critics called this the greatest comedy of all time. I would not disagree. Some Like It Hot from 1959. And the last movie she ever made was with the great actor Clark Gable. They filmed in 1960. They filmed a movie, The Misfits. That was released the next year in 1961. Well, Clark Gable already died late in 1960. He died in November of 1960. And that's interesting. That was the last movie that she ever made, too, because she died tragically on August 4th, 1962, from an overdose of sleeping pills, is what they said, suicide. And it's very sad that this wonderful lady who entertained so many people, despite being very wealthy and famous, still took her own life. The great singer, Sir Elton John, had a beautiful song called Candle in the Wind. And parts of it, he says she didn't know who to turn to. She lived her life like a candle in the wind. never knowing who to turn to when the rain set in. I would like to have known you, but I was just a kid. The candle burned out long before the legend ever did. And Elton was about 15 years old in 1962 when Marilyn died. I was not quite 10 years old. My birthday's in October, so she died in August, 2 months before my 10th birthday. Now, she was married 3 times to James Doherty in the 1940s, and then they divorced. And then later she married the great baseball player, one of the most famous players in baseball history, Joe DiMaggio. Joe DiMaggio played for the New York Yankees from 1936 to 1951 and had the famous record in 1941 of getting at least one base hit in 56 straight games, a record that still stands. No one else has ever equaled that. And they were married in 1952, I think they were, around that time, and were just married a couple years, and then they divorced, but then she married Arthur Miller, the great playwright, in the late 1950s till about 1961. Now, she did indicate that for whatever reason, his marriages didn't work out, but it is believed she really did love both those men very much, Joe DiMaggio and Arthur Miller. By the way, Elton John updated that song, Candle in the Wind, in 1997, when Princess Diana was killed in a car accident. He changed some of the words, but the tune is the same, and renamed that Goodbye England's Rose, which he sang at Diana's funeral in September of 1997. And it's so touching, that song too, and 2 famous women, wealthy and famous, and they still died tragically at age 36. That's right, both Marilyn and Diana both died at age 36. And here Elton John did a song in their memory. I remember well the death of Princess Diana in 1997. Well, we are coming up to Memorial Day weekend in just a few days, and we must remember those who paid the ultimate price, those brave men and women who died in many of the wars America has fought in over the years. As they say, all gave some gave all. And I'm sure if Marilyn were living now, she would say, honor our troops in the Middle East. You know, she did entertain many servicemen about the time of the Korean War and during the 1950s. Finally, I would just like to say, as the great Shakespeare play Hamlet, when Hamlet dies, his friend Horatio says, "Good night, sweet prince," etc. Well, we will change one word from prince to princess in honor of Marilyn Monroe. Good night, sweet princess. May flights of angels sing thee to thy rest.